move on to some NBA stuff here. A little debate topic, and that's who has the deepest bag in the NBA. Who can do it all with basketball. So, yeah, I had two guys. I don't know who you guys
I
have
have
for this
two.
one.
I have a feeling I might agree with one of you, but
For me,
I
I left Kyrie Irving out. I think it was a
See,
little too
I
bit of an
didn't.
obvious
I
choice.
did too. Like
I gotta be
feel
real
like
with my
You
picks.
do have to be real. You do
That's
have to be real.
fair. That's fair. But I think Kyrie among the
It's on a
NBA
different
community
level.
is just undisputed the best bag. And for reference, just to clarify, best bag meaning best like shot creator, best like
Skill
finishing
set.
handler, shooter, taking everything into account. But I think Kyrie's clearly the number one. But I left him off this because
I did too.
he's
But
clearly.
Zach, we can start
number
with
one.
you.
We can
Yeah.
do Kyrie lists, I guess. I had Kyrie, and then to maybe surprise, I had Chris Paul. If you watch him play, he's the master of getting open.
He does.
Hits every mid-range shot you'll see. One of the most reliable. If you tell Chris Paul get a bucket, 90% of the time he's going to get a bucket.
No,
We're finding out to get a
that's
bucket.
true.
I don't have much,
I don't know.
but I think bag.
He's
You can
very
have the best
flashy.
bag, but how important is your bag if you can't score? Like you can have all the moves in the world, but you have to score.
No, that's fair. That's fair. But when you look at Chris Paul,
He has some moves.
He didn't really do it
He's got
for me.
moves, but I don't think he's got like the unbelievably creative.
There are the
moves.
guys.
I mean,
Yes, there were other guys I was thinking of, like Trae Young. CJ McCollum is a very underrated bag, but I don't know. I think gotta go a little out there. So obviously, Kyrie's still my first pick, but if we're doing without Kyrie, then those are some other guys.
Okay, that's fair. All right. I guess I'll go next. So again, Kyrie, I didn't pick him, but mine is Paul George. That's my first guy. No, okay. Look, everything Paul George does, he's just like, he's so smooth with it. Like, and also I feel like he's more known for like his defense.
Especially in the bubble.
Well, okay. Oh, that's a great point that I want to get into.
I'm kidding.
I know you don't truly believe that, but I find it so ridiculous that people still buy in to the pandemic P narrative. Late PG 13%, and as funny as
Or way off
names,
P as your fantasy football name was.
Way off P.
Okay, the names are funny. I get it. But like, if people truly believe that, like, then you just don't watch NBA basketball. This guy, like, you see
when he's on the court,
like when he's on the court, fair. He's just so smooth with it. Like, I mean, when he gets to the rim, pause. Like, he has so many different moves that he just pulls out, and like you see the clips of him even dribbling too. He's just like with the little hezzy. He's got the hezzy. He's got the step back. He's got everything. And then my second one, very definitely a sizzling hot take, but I don't care. It is Cam Thomas.
Oh my God.
Cam. No.
Such a Nets bias.
No, it's not. No.
I agree. He's a great scorer. He's a great scorer.
Hear me out.
One of the steals of the draft.
Exactly. One of the steals of the draft. And within the next like 2 or 3 years, I guarantee you he is going to be up there. People are going to.
He reminds me a lot. He reminds me a lot of what Tyrese Maxey is developing into. A little bit, maybe without the ball handling and distributing, but Cam Thomas can score. He can flat score.
Cam Thomas's main attribute is his scoring. Like, you saw when he stepped back into whatever rookie it was against the Knicks' mouth, in his mouth, pulling up the three, the dagger. But even besides that, because he's actually not that good of a 3-point shooter, but he just takes so many difficult shots. Like, I mean, he's just a true bucket getter. Like, he's got the confidence, and that's what you really need. If you're gonna have the deepest bag, you need the confidence. Cam Thomas definitely has it, and I think his best move is the step back, which he uses a lot, not just at three, but mainly in the mid range. And he just uses it a lot. And even when it's like heavily contested, he'll still pull up with it. He doesn't care. And I like that. And once he gets like real opportunity within the next couple of years, I think he's going to truly be a really big threat in the league. Just watch. It's not just Nets bias. Just watch.
All right. Well, so yeah, for me, I had two guys, and it wasn't any of the guys that you named. This one might be a little bit of a reach, but it's just because he's a do-it-all guy, and it's Nikola Jokic. He's called the Joker for a reason. He can score from all three levels. He can shoot. He can pass. He can handle the ball if you have to. I think I just put him because he can really do everything. I mean, and he's the MVP frontrunner to me for a reason.
Yeah.
And then the second guy who I think he was the first guy I put is Jayson Tatum. This guy can score from every single level. And when he has the ball, I literally don't think when he has the ball, I think this guy's going to go get a bucket. When he played the Nets a couple weeks ago and had about 50 points, I was watching that game and I said, this guy is really, really good. And I think he kind of flies under the radar as one of the best scorers in the game and just one of the best overall players. But he can score from everywhere. He can handle the ball extremely well. I just think he's very similar to Paul George, honestly. But without the defense. But this guy he can score, and I think he's got one of the deepest bags in the NBA.
I agree with that.
I was thinking about putting him over Paul George. I feel like in regards to offense, I think they play very similar.
they're similar
like,
play styles.
They're just they play.
I think Tatum might be a little better 3-point shooter. Create your own shot 3-point shooter.
I think Paul George has better finishing ability. Mid-range might be like kind of like at the same level, but yeah, I was thinking about putting him. I almost did actually, but I didn't. But shout out to Jayson Tatum, man. He is definitely one of the true bucket getters. He can get you a bucket.
Get you definitely. A bucket. But yeah, I think every guy we mentioned definitely has a deep bag, and there's a lot of guys in the NBA that do. I mean, even guys we didn't put: James Harden, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell. I mean,
although I will say with KD, okay, KD definitely has a bag, but I don't think it's like anything crazy. You know what I mean? Like,
I think he's similar to like the Jokic pick, where like they can do everything, but it's not like
it's nothing too like flashy, nothing extremely creative. Like when you see like Cam Thomas, no bias, but I'm just saying, you see Cam Thomas, like he'll just use like the step back, then behind the back, then a floater, still be like 50% contested, and then he'll make it. KD, like he has the hezzy, but that's, I don't know. I just feel like that's kind of he had, that doesn't take away the fact that he's still one of the greatest scorers of all time, but I just don't think that he has like a truly deep, creative like bag. Like when you think of the most creative shot creators, Kevin Durant does not come to mind for me. Like it's just nothing crazy.
That's fair.
So yeah. But yeah, I think Jayson Tatum is just somewhat unstoppable when you really give him the ball.
Tatum, that man is different.
Yeah. And then speaking of Jayson Tatum, another conversation we can get into is whether Jayson Tatum's top 3 right now on the MVP conversation. So I mean, I'll start this one. For me, he's not. I have him top 5. He's top 5, but I don't have him in the top 3. For me, it goes Jokic, Embiid, Kevin Durant, then Devin Booker, and then Jayson Tatum.
Kevin Durant. Look, I'm a Nets fan, but Kevin Durant.
I think Kevin Durant. I know that the Nets are not doing very well right now, but I think with everything going on with
out
that
for us.
Exactly.
I know.
Like
I still would have him over Jayson Tatum.
He hasn't played enough.
I know, but I still would have him over Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum's had a great season. He's definitely in the conversation. I don't think he'll win it. He's definitely top. He's cemented top 5. But those are the 4 guys I'd have ahead of him. Right.
See, like I gotta disagree. I still think it's Jokic's race to lose. I really don't think it's even close.
Yeah, I think
it's close, but I don't know.
I don't think it's close. But is Jayson Tatum a top 3 MVP candidate? Yes. I can very well see the argument for yes. I think I think for either Giannis or Embiid, you could make the argument that he's over either of them. Look, he's like, especially since the All-Star break, he's just turned it on another level. And I don't like referencing record, but ever since he's been going off last month, the Celtics are now the 1 seed.
Yeah, he's probably the main reason for their turnarounds.
Exactly. He is basically the primary reason for them going from like the 5 or 6 to the 1 seed.
They were the 11 at one point.
Yeah, exactly. Which is insane. And look, I'm gonna reference a couple stats. He is second in the NBA in Raptor WAR, and it's by a pretty considerable amount. There's Jokic that's just way ahead of everyone, and then there's Jayson Tatum, who's 1.6 wins above Giannis and Embiid. And I don't think Tatum gets enough credit for his defense. I mean, he's leading the entire league in the defensive win shares. I'm not saying that's like the end all be all, but just want to reference that. And then I want to ask, have you guys heard of the stat LeBron? Like, that's unironically. Okay, well, there is a metric that is called LeBron, which stands for luck adjusted player estimate using a box prior regularized on off. It is quite the mouthful, but it's
when I can say the alphabet faster than a stat, I don't normally count it.
Look, it's a mouthful, but I promise you it is a useful stat. It's similar to WAR in that it's like an all-encompassing thing. And he is 4th in the entire league. And also 2nd in wins added. So I think for me, it's pretty clear that he is a top 3.
See, I'm on the fence.
At worst, top 4. At worst.
I'm on the fence. I mean, him and Alec Burks are kind of going hand in hand. But no, in all seriousness, he's either 3 or 4 for me. I think we can kind of eliminate Jokic and Embiid because they're probably top 2, regardless of advanced stats. I mean, that's what the consensus is among voters. But I don't know. I feel like very tricky situation for me because on one hand, he's leading the best turnaround in the league, he's not leading the best defense, but he's very well contributing to the best defense.
A great defender.
My one problem with what you said is the voters aren't necessarily looking at these multi-syllable long stats when they're oh, he's not second in LeBron.
Look, I get it, but I feel like they
like they're looking, but the reality is they don't.
Looking at his points per game.
They look at the points. Which they look at the
really
assists.
Stupid. It's really dumb.
It is, really, but it's how they do it.
It's how they do it. Whether you like it or not, it's how they do it. I think they're not. Oh, he's 4th in LeBron. He's not 3rd in LeBron. Like,
let me just
He's
7th in Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Like hear me out. Hear me out.
Funny. I'm like,
I there's no doubting he's top 5, but I mean, people aren't talking about Booker enough. I don't know if I agree that he's over Tatum, but I think there's a conversation because he's leading the best team in the league over when Chris Paul was hurt.
Team all year.
When Chris Paul got hurt, he stepped up. He kept them afloat. He could. Yes, they were not giving up. They were not giving up the 1 seed, but they could have fallen to where the 1 seed was in jeopardy. Like
when Chris Paul got hurt, we talked on here about how we thought that they were going to go back to the Suns before Devin Booker, which was like a non-playoff team, and that's not what happened. Devin Booker stepped up, kept them as the 1 seed. I know records shouldn't matter as much as they do, but he carried that team to stay where they are, and I think if you're talking about the comeback of the Celtics record with Jayson Tatum being at the helm, just talk about the Suns just staying as the best record without Chris Paul.
All right, fair.
That's
very fair. But
I think if I had to choose, I'd probably say yes. I'd probably put him 3rd, but it's not like it's them 3 and there's a huge gap between everyone else. I think it's very fluid, this situation. But if you had to ask me right now, is he top 3? I'd probably say yes.
I don't know. Like,
that's fair.
With Devin Booker, I get it. He's, as of right now, the best player on the best team. But like, that being said, the best team. I think we're just kind of wrong to assume that the Suns were just going to go back to this relatively mediocre team.
But then, can I offer a comeback to?
All right, sure. No.
Is it also?
It.
I'm not disagreeing, but could you also say it's not fair to assume that Tatum's been the only one that's turned the Celtics around?
Of course not. But
everyone's been playing well.
Exactly. But when you're looking at like just true player performance, I think Tatum is just not just this month, but the entire season has been. I think he's been playing better than Devin Booker. As like they're relatively similar on the offensive side. I think Tatum's better than Booker, but if you want to say that he isn't, fine.
No, I think he is.
I think
yeah, but I think defense, it's not particularly close. I think Jayson Tatum is like up here. Booker's like there's a pretty good margin. Devin Booker's down there. Not saying that Booker is a liability on defense, but I think Tatum is clearly a step ahead on the defensive side. And when I'm just looking, and for me, when I want to look at MVP, I'm looking at the player performance. I don't want to look at the team. I want to look at how well the player is doing. And it brings me into this, what you brought it up before, but I want to bring it up again, bringing up how the NBA MVP voters are not going to be looking at a lot of these advanced statistics, like the ones that I just mentioned, which I find ridiculous because, they're just going to be looking at, points per game and assists per game and rebounds per game and the team record. Yeah. I mean, we can look at that, but I really don't think it should be valued as high at all compared to any advanced metrics. Like, the point of these advanced statistics are to show how well one player is performing. It's a measure of true talent, not how well the team is performing. It's not most valuable team that we're looking at. It's most valuable player. So that's why I think, and Jokic is just wipes everybody in the advanced statistics. That's why I think he's clearly the MVP.
You see, I would agree, but the only reason that I still think Embiid has a chance is because they're not looking at that. Like, if they look at the basic stats, it's very close.
Even with basic stats, I think it's still Jokic.
Oh, I've switched from last time. I've switched from Embiid to Jokic. I do. I'll admit. I'll admit.
I like that.
But I still think that it's if Embiid were to win, because of what they take into account, I wouldn't consider it a surprise.
Yeah, which is fine. But I think it's fair to say that it's ridiculous that they're not going to be going.
I think it's fair to criticize how they do it.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that team record and voter fatigue play so much of factors. I think it's really stupid, especially voter fatigue. Like, I think what it is the players just, the NBA wants a narrative right now. And Joel Embiid, as of right now, has the best narrative. Jokic, he already won the MVP. He's not one of the top teams in the West. So, but then there's Embiid, who we want to say, it's the most dominant player in the league right now, which is not true. It's not true. It's Jokic.
I think dominant is subjective, because dominant in one way is like physically dominant, like dunking over everyone.
Yeah, it is totally subjective.
I think Jokic, they're both dominant, but dominant in separate. Like, Embiid is physically dominant, where Jokic is fundamentally dominant.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's that close.
I don't think I mean, I just said it. I've switched. It's gonna be interesting to see how the voters value certain statistics over others. Like,
certain statistics and like narrative, and see what
I wish the voters, like, I know it would be a lot, but I wish the voters could, like, not give an explanation, but like see. I know it's more of a hypothetical, but just see where some of them are coming
just get
from.
A peek into their minds.
Yeah, exactly.
In any sport, I mean, honestly, in any sport.
Yeah,
just to see what they're looking for.
Yeah, just at least to see what they're looking for. Look, I strongly prefer them to look at like advanced metrics and like put voter fatigue or like team record aside, because I think team record is a team accomplishment, not a player accomplishment. But at least let's just see what they're looking at, right?
I mean, yeah, because you think about it, like out of all the NBA awards, most valuable player is probably the one that is like the most broad and has the most like questions surrounding it. I mean,
Yes.
look at the other awards. I mean, coach of the year, that goes to the coach that's probably turned around a team that no one expected. Sixth man of the year is the best player off the bench. Defensive player of the year is a guy who has just clamped down and locked people up. I mean, that one's still a little shaky, but I think it's still better than the most valuable player. Rookie of the year is the best rookie. And then most improved is the guy who's improved most. I mean, MVP seems to be the one where it's like, what are they looking at? Are they looking at the best player on the best team? Or are they looking at a guy who has had the biggest impact, like, or the best stats? It's like,
it's like really weird. And even not just looking at other awards within basketball, even just looking at MVP alone, compared to other sports like baseball or football. Like, I think those are like, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear what at least in baseball they're looking for. They're looking for the best player with the best stats in that specific season. And then in football, they're just looking at what quarterback is having the best season.
I feel like
season.
NBA, there's the most flexibility, but defining.
But I don't even think it's necessarily. I don't think that's necessarily a good thing in that it's really broad in what they're looking for. Like, are they looking for the best player on the best team, or are they just looking for the best player in general? Are they allowed to win back-to-back years, or no? That's just voter fatigue. Like, I think it's really weird.
I hate voter fatigue.
I think it's good
and
bad. Like, let's be real. If voter fatigue wasn't a thing, Giannis would be the favorite for a lot of awards every year. Like, that's fair. There's a reason.
That just shows his dominance. I mean,
exactly.
It should be honestly a reward that you're not like. This is a lot outlandish, but the fact that he's not being talked about is a testament to his game, maybe even more than how much he is being talked about.
Yeah, honestly, he is like
so typical.
As of right now, he is a distant third in the MVP
which
race,
is surprising.
But it just goes to show his absolute greatness, But yeah, he could be in contention to win like defensive player of the year every single year. He really could. Say even with same with like Rudy Gobert. But yeah, voter fatigue is just one of the most ridiculous things in sports in general, and also NBA narratives for MVP. Like this goes back to even like to the Giannis versus Harden MVP race, which I think at least one of those years, I think 17-18 should have, or 18-19 should have gone to Harden. But Harden is this big diva who shoots a lot of free throws and he's not as likable. So then Giannis wins, but Harden analytically had better stats. So, but yeah, I hate the NBA MVP voters. They're just very inconsistent and weird.
Yeah, very. But we can stick in the NBA with a guy that may have been an MVP candidate if he actually played the whole year. And Kyrie Irving. He's back full time. He was hired as a full-time NBA player now. He's now allowed to play in home games.
I almost shed a tear. He can't play in Toronto still, but
yes, he can't play in Toronto. So hopefully they don't play them in the playoffs.
He could play everywhere else, and that's just all I wanted. And now I still think that the Nets can beat anybody in this league.
And they lost their first game with him playing
to the Hornets.
He had a bad game.
I'm kidding.
He had a bad game.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, it does. It is good.
First day of
good
school
timing.
nerves.
Exactly. It's
any chance to shit on the Nets,
game.
I take.
Yeah.
I know. You might as well be a Sixers fan. Oh, disgusting.
That's looking pretty good so far.
Yeah. Okay. But
no, I think with the Nets, I think that this doesn't really make a huge difference in the regular season. I mean, there's not that many games left. If anything, they move up a spot or two. But I think honestly, right now, they're ninth in the
It's
East.
all
It's looking like
postseason.
they're going to be in the play-in tournament, which isn't great, but
Not
if they
ideal.
can move up a couple spots, it will definitely help their first round matchup. But I will say it's definitely not a team you want to see in the first round. If you're the Bucks
Exactly.
or the Sixers or the
The
Heat.
thing is with the East, I didn't mean to interrupt, but it's so stacked that like what is moving one spot up or down really going to
honestly,
change? Like you're
I
going to
wouldn't
have
want
a
to see
tough
any
matchup
team in
either.
the East.
I feel like the one matchup you could probably maybe put a name on is a little less competitive is playing Toronto. And they're still very good and very solid.
And I think right now, this might be bold, but I think you could put that tag on the Chicago Bulls.
I would say yes. The Bulls have
because
they
are
were
not
2-20 or 2-19 against winning teams.
Top three teams in both conferences. I think they're 2-20 against those, and then they're like 0-17 against top three teams in each conference. I mean, they're good. They're gonna make the playoffs, but
do we really think that they're gonna go that deep in the playoffs?
Like if you think
they're not,
there's one of the Heat, Bucks, Sixers, Celtics, and Nets are gonna lose in the first round, which shows you how
I can see two of that. I can see two of those with the way the Cavs are playing.
You can make a case for all 5 of those teams winning the whole thing. The fact that one of them is going to lose in the first round is just very. It shows you how like competitive the East is, and also
goes back to how competitive it became.
Exactly, it goes back to my point of moving. Like no matter what, you're going to have a tough matchup in the first round. So I don't know if anything, it's probably helped the Nets because Kyrie's healthy, he's focused, all of this stuff is back like behind him. He can just focus on basketball, and whoever they play, they're in for a treat. The Nets opponent.
If I am the Celtics or the Bucks, or especially the Heat, I'm
the Heat. I don't want to see the Nets.
No bias. I would be scared. I would be pissing my pants if I had to see the Nets. Like, especially considering Ben Simmons will most likely be back for the playoffs. We don't know what's going to happen within these last 7 games. But also, just want to note that the Nets have the easiest remaining schedule, even though it's only 7 games.
Yeah, I will say them moving up a couple spots can be huge because
it could.
With the way the play-in works, one off night and they're done.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think if you're them, you want to be top 6, but they're 9th right now. It's going to be kind of tough for them to catch up all the way.
But yeah, and keep in mind, like, let's look back at the Eastern semifinals, Nets versus Bucks. Those first 2 games at the Barclays Center when everyone was healthy, obviously it was with Harden, but still, the Nets just wiped the Bucks, and it wasn't even particularly close in either game. And then they take them to 7 with Kyrie out for the rest of the series and Harden playing on a grade 2 hamstring strain. Like, especially if I'm the Bucks or the Heat, like, I really don't want to face the Nets. You got arguably the best player in the world with arguably the deepest bag in the NBA, Kyrie Irving, and then one of the best perimeter defenders coming back after a whole year's worth of rest. So I think the Nets, even though they're like the 9 seed right now, even though they're the 9 seed right now, I still have them as one of the top teams in the East.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, the Eastern Conference playoffs, man, it's going to be insane. The whole NBA playoffs as a whole is going to be insane. We'll get that in a couple weeks. So that's all we have for NBA